Welcome back, learners, to the Deep Dive, the show where we help you learn more, faster.
By cutting right to the heart of the matter.
Exactly. Today we're diving into a topic I'm sure a lot of you are interested in.
Speed.
Speed, you bet. It's pretty fundamental.
Oh, absolutely. Speed is essential whether you're training for combat sports
Right.
or self-defense.
Or even just, moving through life more efficiently.
Yeah. You always want to be able to react and adapt quickly to what's happening around you.
And that's why we're going to be looking at Madhan Kumar's book, Speed Coaching for Boxing Martial Arts and MMA, How to Maximize Your Hand Speed.
That's right. This book really breaks down the core principles of combat speed and gives us a ton of practical techniques we can use to improve.
Exactly. We're going to be pulling out the most important takeaways and giving you a roadmap for how to integrate these concepts into your training.
Because we're all about actionable advice here on the Deep Dive.
Mm.
No fluff, just the stuff that really works.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to give you a solid foundation in combat speed and some training methods that you can start using today.
And Kumar starts off by making a distinction that I think is really crucial for understanding how speed works in a real fight.
And that is?
The difference between what he calls applied speed versus demonstration speed. You see a lot of demonstration speed in martial arts,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
especially in the more traditional styles. You see those super fast punches and kicks that look really impressive.
But might not actually work that well in a real fight.
Exactly. Because in a real fight, speed isn't just about how fast you can move. It's about timing,
Tower.
accuracy, and above all, being able to adapt to a dynamic and unpredictable situation.
Right. So how does the book distinguish between these two types of speed?
Well, Kumar uses a great example himself. He's a pretty tall guy, about 6'2", with long arms.
Oh, wow.
And he says there's no way he could throw 20 full power punches from his chest in a single second, even if it looks like he's moving super fast.
Yeah, you'd just be kind of tapping the air at that point.
Exactly. Those kinds of super fast movements might create a visual blur, but they lack the power and the impact to be truly effective in a self-defense situation.
So it's really about quality over quantity. One well-placed strike delivered with real force is going to be far more effective than a flurry of weak punches that don't really connect.
Absolutely. And Kumar further illustrates this with another analogy, nunchucks versus a simple stick. Nunchucks in the hands of a skilled practitioner, they can look amazingly fast. All those spinning movements can be really mesmerizing.
But would you actually want to use them in a fight?
Probably not. Most people with weapons experience would choose a plain stick for self-defense. It might not have the same flashy appeal, but it's so much more versatile and effective for blocking, striking, and controlling distance.
It's about practicality over showmanship. I like that.
And that brings us to one of the key principles the book keeps coming back to, the CCS principle,
What stands for?
combat common sense. Kumar is constantly emphasizing that practical application should always take precedence over theory or abstract concepts. Just because a technique looks amazing in a dojo doesn't mean it will work on the street.
It has to make sense. It has to feel right.
Exactly. You need to test these concepts in training that mimics the real thing as closely as possible.
And trust your own judgment about what actually works for you.
Right. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try different things. See what feels natural and effective for your body type and your fighting style.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've got to use our heads and not just blindly follow what we're told.
Precisely. Think for yourself, question everything, and always prioritize what actually works.
Okay, great. So we've talked about this idea of applied speed and the importance of using common sense in your training. What are some of the other key concepts Kumar introduces?
Well, another one that really resonated with me was the isolation principle. To make fast progress in your speed training, you need to focus intensely on one specific component at a time, rather than trying to improve everything at once.
So instead of trying to get faster at everything all at once, you break down your speed training into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Exactly. Because when you try to do too much at once, you end up diluting your efforts and your progress slows down.
It's like trying to learn a new language by studying 5 different languages at the same time. You're not going to get very far with any of them.
That's a great analogy. By isolating and mastering each element of speed individually, you'll see much faster overall improvement.
So this is about working smarter, not harder.
Precisely. And the overall framework for understanding these individual elements of speed is what Kumar calls the speed loop.
The speed loop. Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for us.
The speed loop is a model for understanding and developing complete combat speed.
Complete combat speed.
Right, because it's not just about how fast your punches are or how quickly you can move your feet. It's about all of those things working together seamlessly.
So it's a holistic approach to speed development.
Exactly. And Kumar breaks down the speed loop into 7 interconnected parts.
7 parts. Okay, let's hear them.
They are visual reflexes, tactile reflexes, auditory reflexes.
Okay, so that's how we perceive the world around us, through sight, touch, and sound.
Exactly. Then there's adaptation speed, initiation speed, movement speed, and alteration speed.
Adaptation speed, initiation speed, movement speed, and alteration speed. So that covers how we process information, how we start our movements, how fast we move, and how easily we can change direction. It's really comprehensive.
And Kumar stresses that a weakness in any one of these areas will limit your overall speed potential. It's like a chain. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Gotcha. So we need to address all of these areas if we want to be truly fast and effective in a fight.
Exactly. And we're going to go through each of these parts of the speed loop in detail, starting with visual reflexes.
Visual reflexes make
Right.
sense. You've got to be able to see what's coming at you if you're going to be able to react to it, right?
Absolutely. Visual reflexes are absolutely essential for both attacking and defending effectively. They allow you to quickly spot openings in your opponent's defense.
And to track their movements and react accordingly.
Precisely. It's not just about seeing, it's about processing that visual information instantly and making the right decisions based on what you see.
It's about speed and accuracy. We need our brains to keep up with our eyes.
That's right. And the good news is that you can train your visual reflexes just like you train any other muscle.
So how do we do that?
Kumar begins with some basic eye exercises that are designed to warm up the muscles around your eyes and improve their flexibility and range of motion.
Sort of like doing a warm-up before you lift weights?
Exactly. And these exercises are really simple. There's the lateral eye stretch, where you look as far to one side as you can comfortably, hold for a few seconds, then repeat on the other side.
Okay. Then there's the vertical eye stretch, where you look up and down in the same controlled way.
And then the circular eye stretch. For this one, you imagine a big clock face. Kumar says about 10 feet in diameter, which I think is a great visual.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
And you slowly move your gaze around that clock face, focusing on each number, first clockwise, then counterclockwise.
Okay, great. Any other eye exercises we should be doing?
Kumar also mentions the eye squeeze, where you tightly close your eyes for about 5 seconds and then relax, and the eye massage.
Eye massage, how do you do that?
For the eye massage, you gently stroke your closed eyelids with your fingertips, using downward and inward motions.
But I'm guessing we need to be really gentle here.
Oh, absolutely. The eyes are incredibly delicate, so use a very light touch and avoid any excessive pressure. The last thing you want to do is injure your eyes.
That's right. Safety first. Okay, so after these warm-ups, where do we go from there?
Well, once your eyes are warmed up and ready to go, Kumar introduces a really interesting concept, blink control.
Blink control. I've never heard of that before. What is it?
It's about training yourself to resist that natural urge to close your eyes or squint when something is coming towards you.
Which is something we all do instinctively. If something's flying at our face, our first reaction is to flinch.
Right. And that's fine in everyday life.
Right.
But in a fight, even blinking for a split second can give your opponent a huge advantage.
Oh, yeah. If you can't see, you can't defend yourself.
And to work on this, Kumar has a drill called the Blink Challenge.
Okay, tell me about it.
Basically, you need a training partner who can slowly move towards you or make sudden movements.
Like throwing punches or kicks?
Yeah, exactly. But they start very light and controlled, and they gradually increase the intensity and speed as you get more comfortable.
And the idea is to keep your eyes open and focused no matter what.
Precisely. You want to stay relaxed and avoid tensing up or flinching. And of course, it's super important to wear proper safety gear.
Right. We don't want anyone getting hurt. Okay, so we've worked on our blink control. What's next?
Next, Kumar dives into the importance of peripheral vision.
Peripheral vision. I know that's our ability to see things out of the corner of our eye.
Right. And it's incredibly important in a fight because it allows us to be aware of our surroundings and to see attacks coming from multiple directions.
You can't always be looking directly at your opponent, especially if there's more than one of them.
Exactly. You need to have that wider awareness.
So how do we train our peripheral vision?
Kumar suggests a few different drills. One is the public awareness drill. In this drill, you pick a distant object and focus your gaze on it.
Okay.
But while you're doing that, you try to be aware of any movement happening in your peripheral vision without actually moving your eyes.
So it's about expanding your field of awareness without losing your focus.
Precisely. Then there's the name call drill.
The name call drill.
Yeah. For this one, you'll need 3 training partners. You stand in the middle and focus on the partner in front of you.
Got it.
And then the other two partners, who are standing off to the side, will make subtle movements.
And I have to guess which one moved.
Exactly. And you have to do it without taking your eyes off the partner in front of you.
Sounds like a good challenge. Any other drills?
There's also the alphabet game, where your partner stands in front of you and draws letters in the air.
Okay.
You have to identify the letters as quickly as possible. They might also move around while doing it, which forces you to use your peripheral vision to keep track of them.
I like that. It keeps you on your toes. And then, of course, there's always sparring.
Sparring is the ultimate test of your peripheral vision, especially if you're sparring against multiple opponents.
Because you have to be constantly scanning your surroundings and looking for threats coming from all directions.
Exactly. You can't afford to tunnel vision in a real fight.
Right. So we've talked about blink control and peripheral vision. What other aspects of visual reflexes does Kumar cover?
He also talks about something he calls visual stamina. This is basically your ability to quickly focus on something and then maintain that focus for extended periods.
Okay. Sounds important.
It is. Because in a fight, your eyes are going to be bombarded with a lot of visual information.
Punches coming at you, your opponent's footwork, the overall environment, it can be overwhelming.
Exactly. And if your visual stamina is weak, you're going to get tired, and your reaction time is going to slow down. You might even miss crucial cues.
So it's not just about seeing fast, it's about seeing clearly for the entire duration of the fight.
Precisely. And Kumar says that having strong visual stamina can lead to something called the speed impediment phenomenon.
The speed impediment phenomenon. That sounds interesting. What is it?
It's basically the idea that highly trained fighters can sometimes perceive their opponent's movements as being slower than they actually are.
Wait, so they're seeing things in slow motion?
Not exactly. It's more like they've seen those movements so many times in training that they're able to anticipate them and react almost effortlessly. It's as if their brain is processing the information faster than the opponent is moving.
Oh, that makes sense. They're not actually seeing things in slow motion, but it feels like they are because their reactions are so quick.
Exactly. And the book makes an interesting connection here to the adrenaline rush we often get in a fight.
Because adrenaline can definitely make you feel more alert and focused.
Absolutely. And Kumar says that learning to control your adrenaline response is key to maximizing your visual stamina.
So it's not just about letting that adrenaline take over. It's about harnessing it and using it to your advantage.
Right. It's about being able to channel that energy into focus and precision, rather than letting it turn into panic or tunnel vision.
I see. So how do we develop this control over our adrenaline response?
Kumar breaks it down into two stages. The first stage is learning to intentionally trigger the release of adrenaline when you need it.
Okay, so you're actually trying to bring on that adrenaline rush.
Yeah. You want to be able to access that heightened state of awareness and energy on demand.
How do you do that?
There are a few techniques. One is to widen your eyes and focus your gaze intently. Another is to use controlled breathing, taking short, rapid breaths.
Okay, and then what's the second stage?
The second stage is learning to control that adrenaline once you've triggered it, being able to turn it on and off at will.
So not just letting it run wild.
Exactly. You want to be able to bring yourself back down to a calm and focused state when you need to.
So how do we do that?
Again, there are a few techniques. One is to close your eyes and take slow, deep breaths.
Okay.
Another is to focus on peaceful thoughts or images. The key is to find what works best for you and to practice it regularly.
So we're basically training our minds to control our bodies.
And vice versa, because the mind and body are inextricably linked.
Right. So we've talked about how to trigger and control adrenaline. What are some other drills for visual stamina?
Well, Kumar suggests a few really interesting ones. One is the record read drill.
Record read drill. Sounds old school.
It is. It involves using a vinyl record player.
Like a turntable.
Yeah. You put a record on the turntable and spin it at 33, 45, or 78 RPM, and then you try to focus on the label in the center as it's spinning.
That sounds like a good way to train your eyes to track a fast-moving object.
It is. It forces you to maintain sharp focus, even when the target is moving rapidly and erratically.
So it's about building up that visual endurance.
Precisely. Then there's the number flash drill.
The number flash.
Yep. In this drill, you have a partner quickly flash a series of numbers, maybe 4 to 7 digits in front of you,
Okay.
and you try to recall the numbers immediately afterwards.
So it's like a test of your short-term visual memory.
Exactly, and it really challenges your ability to quickly absorb and process visual information.
Okay. And the last one.
The last one is the point focus drill. For this one, you take a piece of paper and draw a bunch of dots all over it.
Got it.
Then you pick one dot to focus on. and you start shadowboxing.
While keeping your eyes on that one dot.
Precisely. And you try to maintain that focus even as your body is moving and your head is bobbing and weaving.
That sounds pretty tough. But I can see how it would help with visual stamina and focus.
And then Kumar gets into an even more interesting concept, the sixth sense.
The sixth sense. Is he talking about ESP or something?
Not exactly. He describes it as developed sensory perception, or DSP.
DSP.
Right. And he says that with enough training, you can develop your senses to a point where you're almost able to anticipate your opponent's movements before they even happen.
So it's like you're reading their mind.
Not quite mind reading,
Yeah.
but definitely a heightened level of intuition and awareness.
I see. So how do we develop this so-called sixth sense?
Kumar has a few drills for that as well. One is the television response drill.
The television response drill.
Yeah. For this one, you watch a fast-paced TV show or movie,
Okay.
and every time there's a sudden camera cut or change in scene, you react with a specific strike or block.
So you're training yourself to react instantly to unexpected visual stimuli.
Exactly. Then there's the traffic light drill.
The traffic light drill.
Yeah, this is a fun one. You're driving along, and every time a traffic light changes to green, you say, "Ugh," out loud.
But hopefully not slam on the gas pedal at the same time.
Exactly. Don't do that. The point is to develop that instant verbal reaction to a visual cue.
Okay. What else?
Kumar also mentions using video games.
Video games. Always a good time.
They can actually be really helpful for developing hand-eye coordination and reaction speed.
So what kind of video games does he recommend?
He doesn't specify any particular games, but I would imagine any game that requires quick reflexes and precise timing would be beneficial.
Like first-person shooters or fighting games?
Exactly.
Okay. Any other drills for developing our sixth sense?
There's the pet snatch drill. This one involves playing with your pet.
Oh, fun.
You dangle a toy or a piece of cloth in front of them, and right as they're about to pounce on it, you quickly pull it away.
And I'm guessing I'm supposed to say, ugh, again.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's all about training that instant reaction to movement.
Okay. What's next?
The next drill is the focus mitt snatch. For this one, you need a partner who's holding a focus mitt,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to hit the mitt, but your partner is trying to pull the mitt away before you can make contact.
So it's kind of like a game of tag.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great way to work on your timing, anticipation, and reaction speed.
And Kumar mentions some variations for this drill as well.
Right, like having your partner keep their hands constantly moving to make it harder to predict where the mitt is going to be.
Okay. And then there's having them lunge forward as they punch to incorporate footwork into the drill.
Exactly.
This is starting to sound a lot like sparring.
Well, all of these drills are designed to prepare you for the real thing, which is sparring.
Okay. Any other key points on visual reflexes before we move on?
One last thing. Kumar talks about the importance of having a primary focus point during a fight,
A focus point, meaning
basically where you're looking. For longer range engagements, he recommends focusing on your opponent's eyes.
to gauge their distance and intentions.
Right, and for closer range engagements, he recommends focusing on their midsection, around the solar plexus area.
Because that's their center of gravity.
Exactly. And by focusing on that point, you're less likely to get distracted by their head movement or hand movements.
Makes sense. It's like that idea of soft focus in photography, where you're aware of the whole scene, but you have a specific point of sharp focus.
Exactly. So, to sum up, the key tools for developing your visual reflexes are eye exercises, blink control, peripheral vision training.
Visual stamina development, cultivating intuition, and establishing a proper focus point.
That's a great overview. Okay, so we've covered the first part of the speed loop, visual reflexes.
Now, what about tactile reflexes? What are those, and how do they play into combat speed?
Tactile reflexes are all about your ability to react quickly to touch.
So it's your sense of feel.
Yeah, and it's incredibly important in close quarters combat.
Which, as Kumar points out, is where most fights end up anyway.
He says something like 95% of street fights and MMA matches go to the ground or involve clinching. It is. And when you're that close to your opponent, you're not always going to have time to see their attacks coming.
You have to be able to feel them.
Exactly. And to react accordingly. It's about sensitivity.
So it's not just about being tough or strong, it's about being able to perceive subtle changes in pressure and movement
Precisely. It's about feeling your opponent's energy and intentions.
and using that information to either dissolve their energy, redirect it, or crash into it.
Right. It's about being adaptable and flowing with the force rather than trying to meet it head on.
Okay. So, how do we develop these tactile reflexes? Does Kumar give us any specific drills?
Oh yeah, he's got a whole section on sensitivity drills. And he stresses that these drills are not techniques to be used in a fight.
They're more like training exercises.
Exactly. They're about developing that heightened awareness and sensitivity to touch.
Got it. So, what are some of these drills?
One is the single hand sensitivity drill.
Okay, what's that one?
For this one, you stand facing a partner with your lead hands touching at the wrists, eyes closed.
Eyes closed. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. One partner tries to break the contact and strike to the torso, and the other partner tries to maintain contact and defend.
So, it's all about feeling that pressure point and reacting accordingly.
Precisely. Then there's the double hand sensitivity drill, where both partners engage both hands and try to gently strike each other.
By freeing their hands or tying up their partner's hands.
Exactly.
Sounds like a good way to develop hand sensitivity and coordination.
It is. And it forces you to stay relaxed and focused even when you're under pressure. And then there's blind grappling.
Blind grappling. Okay, this sounds intense.
It is pretty intense. Both partners are blindfolded, and they start in a neutral grappling position, like in wrestling or judo.
Okay.
And the goal is to take down your partner by feeling their movements and imbalances.
So you're basically wrestling in the dark.
Exactly. And it really forces you to rely on your sense of touch and your intuition.
That's a great way to describe it. It's like developing a sixth sense for touch.
Right. And the key takeaway here is that isolating the sense of touch by training blindfolded makes you much more sensitive when you return to open eye drills.
It's like when you turn the lights back on after being in the dark for a while. Everything seems so much brighter.
Exactly. Your senses become more acute.
So to sum up, the key tools for developing tactile reflexes are hand sensitivity drills and grappling sensitivity drills, preferably done blindfolded.
That's right. Okay, so we've talked about visual reflexes and tactile reflexes. What's next?
Well, the next part of the speed loop is auditory reflexes, which is all about reacting to sound.
Right. And this might not seem as obvious as the other senses.
But it can be just as important in a fight.
Absolutely. Because sometimes you'll hear an attack before you see it.
Like if someone comes at you from behind.
Or if you're fighting multiple opponents and you can't keep track of everyone visually.
So we need to train our ears as well as our eyes and our hands.
Precisely. And Kumar says that with enough practice, your auditory reflexes can become so sharp it's almost like having eyes in the back of your head.
Wow. So how do we start training our auditory reflexes?
Kumar starts with a series of drills called sound trigger drills. There are 3 levels: basic, intermediate, and advanced.
Okay, take me through them.
The basic drill is pretty straightforward. You stand in front of a partner, and they yell a single syllable word.
Like ha or go.
Exactly. And your immediate reaction is to execute a predetermined strike or block.
Okay, so it's about linking a specific sound with a specific action.
Precisely. The intermediate drill adds a layer of discrimination. Your partner will yell a series of random words, but only one of those words is the trigger word.
And I only react when I hear that specific trigger word.
Right. So you're training your brain to filter out irrelevant sounds and focus on the one that matters.
Okay, makes sense. What about the advanced drill?
The advanced drill is similar to the intermediate drill, but your partner will yell the words more quietly.
To make it harder to hear the trigger word.
Exactly. And they'll also have you start from different positions, like sitting down or reading a book.
To simulate a more realistic situation where you're not necessarily expecting an attack.
Right. And Kumar also has a variation on the sound trigger drill that you can do by yourself.
How does that work?
You record yourself yelling the trigger word with different timings and inflections.
Okay.
And then you play back the recording and practice reacting to it.
So it's the same concept, but you're using technology to help you train.
Exactly. And Kumar emphasizes that you can do this drill with your eyes open or closed, depending on what you want to focus on.
If you train with your eyes closed, you're purely relying on your sense of hearing.
Right. And if you train with your eyes open, you're training your brain to integrate both visual and auditory information.
Okay. Got it. So those are the sound trigger drills. What else does Kumar have to say about auditory reflexes?
Well, he also talks about the importance of learning to listen in general.
Learning to listen, isn't that something we learn in kindergarten?
Maybe, but it's something we can always improve on. And it's not just about being able to hear sounds.
It's about being able to interpret those sounds and understand what they mean.
Exactly. It's about paying attention to the subtle cues in your environment that might warn you of danger.
Like the sound of footsteps approaching or someone breathing heavily.
Or a car door slamming shut. It's
Yeah.
about being aware of the soundscape around you and knowing what's normal and what's not.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Any other key takeaways on auditory reflexes?
Just one. Kumar stresses the importance of protecting your hearing,
Oh, yeah, that's important.
because if you damage your hearing, you're obviously going to have a harder time reacting to sounds.
So, no more blasting loud music.
Well, it's probably a good idea to turn the volume down a bit
Yeah.
and to wear earplugs when you're around loud noises, like at a concert or a shooting range.
Good advice. So, to sum up, the key tools for developing auditory reflexes are sound trigger drills and critical listening. We've gone through the basic senses now, right? Sight, touch, hearing.
We have. Now it's time to move on to the next stage of the speed loop, adaptation speed.
Okay. So, what is adaptation speed, and how does it differ from the other types of speed we've talked about so far?
Adaptation speed is basically the speed at which your mind can process information and choose the best course of action.
So, it's about making decisions quickly and accurately.
Precisely. It's the link between perceiving a threat and actually reacting to it.
It's like that moment in a horror movie when the character sees the monster and has to decide whether to run, fight, or freeze.
Exactly. And in a real fight, you don't have time to overthink things.
You have to act instinctively.
Right. And the faster you can adapt to the situation, the better your chances of survival.
Makes sense. So, how do we train our adaptation speed? Any drills for this one?
Kumar has a lot of great suggestions.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting ones is stick training.
SIP training.
Yeah. He specifically recommends training in Filipino martial arts like eskrima or kali.
Oh, yeah. Those are the styles that use those rattan sticks, right?
Exactly. And Kumar says that training with sticks can dramatically improve your reflexes and your overall speed.
Because you're constantly having to adapt to your opponent's movements and the angles of attack.
Precisely. You're forced to think quickly and react decisively.
And the sticks themselves move so fast.
They do. Kumar says a skilled stick fighter can generate speeds of over 150 miles per hour.
That's faster than a baseball pitch.
It is. And he says that after training with sticks for a while, your empty hand movements will actually feel slower.
Wow, that's how fast the sticks are.
Right. But he also emphasizes the importance of starting slowly with stick training.
Don't just jump in and try to go full speed right away.
No, definitely not. You need to focus on developing proper form and technique first.
Because speed without control is useless.
Precisely. And once you have a solid foundation, then you can start to gradually increase the speed.
Okay, so stip training is one way to improve adaptation speed. What else?
Another great tool is focus mitts.
We've talked about those before. But how are they used for adaptation speed training specifically?
Well, it's all about making the training dynamic and unpredictable.
So not just standing there and having your partner feed you punches.
Right. You want your partner to be moving around, changing the angles of attack, mixing up the combination.
To force me to think on my feet.
Exactly. And to adapt to those changing conditions.
Sounds like a good workout for the brain as well as the body. Any specific drills with focus mitts?
Kumar mentions a drill called number call. For this one, you and your partner assign numbers to different strikes.
Like 1 is a jab, 2 is a cross, and so on.
Right. And then your partner calls out those numbers randomly, and you have to execute the corresponding strike as quickly as possible. Host speaker.